And so our story begins. See this, and I can do this till infinity, not knowing what I'm doing. I don't speak that language, but I can tell you something with that language is a distortion at play where the storyline got lost many, many times. Over time. But to the title first. The title shall be Superhuman Skills of Starseeds. And I'm talking about the very subtle skills that are hardly investigated. Savants show somewhat of a remnant of what actually is there. So I'm showing you this in my studio, so you have an idea of where we are. So, as a star child, what does that mean, a starseed? A starseed is a being that has the awareness that he or she is not from this earth, that we're from a different realm. And the story runs steep. What we require from you is your patience, and your ear, and your psychic ear. We wish to communicate with bigger networks so this message can be transmitted, which is difficult because consciousness is slow. That doesn't make you supremely intelligent, because by law you can't override that. But there are things, there are secrets. And take a picture now, take a still, and anybody that can translate that, please let me know what I'm writing, because once this is gone, it'll be forever gone. I do this because I can, and I want to challenge what's out there. So, before we go to this cuneiform, which is a primitive version actually of the language of where we actually come from, a digression from where that was to make it translatable, and us going through hoops, having to translate the storyline and not even having the complete storyline. Certain beings were picked by those from the higher realms. I'm not talking lower realms, I'm not talking manipulation, I'm not talking cattle mutilation. I'm not talking about the dimensional allowance of governments. This is all earthly planes. I'm talking when this leaves this plane, it goes into a much higher realm where what you think or thought of has absolutely zero application, because it will not exist in that consciousness. While I'll talk, I will give you my gallery of my transmissions. So you have to see art throughout a century. It's not all art. It is perfectly disguised Starseedian transmission codes. So consciousness can be reminded, be prepared and trained to become what it used to be. So the human race is not in shock. That doesn't make the starseeds or those with the awareness superior, not at all. We are shunned. Most of our lives we're outcasts. It's past racism. It's xenophobia on a very high level. You get no trophies. I must say that I'm very proud that I have support now from those that see that we can further this. See, if you would find a kid that was an oracle, you would bring into a monastery and you would fund that development of that skill would be taken care of. So with us starseeds, we are like monks nuns, priests and priestesses without monastery. We have to find our congregation without being a cult, without, and here's the distortion of this planet, promises that are never fulfilled for those who support. So in the ancient days, facts were put to the table. So the greatest of all missions for me, which I have since I was born, is to develop technology, translate and bring forth the original memory of your cosmic self. Now, conservatively speaking, if I'm having 2.5 billion years of DNA history experienced through my ancestors and whatever that was before in me, forever stored, which they call the Akashic records, it's all in you. And can you imagine the vastness of access you shall have if you are right from within? And this is where the story begins. You will wake up without memory. So I'll now remove this. You had your time. You wake up with a haze. That's how I was born. My first human memory came in when I was 3.5. I'm in my mother's bedroom. We're in Frankfurt. One apartment. And I have an intelligent, sentient self behind this little body that's to be controlled. Sounds completely schizophrenic, but that's how it felt. So I knew I had higher intelligence to express, but the tools that I have are very primitive and need to be developed for a long, long time before I can even reach the level that I'm having now. We were told before incarnating into this dimension, you have to go through all the dysfunctionalities of this planet. You have to go through the non-believers and many, many trials and tribulations. Hence you have your holy books, your prophets, your messiahs, all that stuff were killed or stoned or exiled or mystified and lost through time. All in the flesh that walked the earth and did their magic as in their knowledge. So it sounds non-linear what I'm giving you, but this is also to get your memory in gear. I was told when you activate, many you call, a few will listen. You know that quote. And they say you will know who's who by who can psychically really feel you and empathically link with you. Whether that's business exchange or friendship or whatever level that is, has multiple levels of energy exchange taking place here. And they said you will talk to many, many that will not see you, they will not feel you, they won't hear you. Some will even fear what you have to say. It's not going to be an easy task, and that's for all you starseeds out there. So we're born with an intelligence that you can't fathom, that you can also not find in any book. You speak a language which you think is a fairy tale language when you're little, and you have a little invisible friend that walks with you, that's a Sasani in my case, and you think, I made that up, like, because the other kids can't see him. Not having the awareness that I have multidimensional access, which when traumatized as a 5-year-old you shut down, because you think, okay, this is nuts, it doesn't make sense, I perceive it, they don't. In order to survive here, I have to do this, which was a struggle. You're an indigo, you're special. I had no idea. Starseed gave me a very, very good confirmation and grounding into what I am. Grounding myself in. Having visions as a kid, seeing things like, your famous prophets would have, but that doesn't make you a prophet, you hide it. You think you're different. You think you're sick. So you disguise yourself as a human, like the remnant of forgotten knowledge running around in circles, traveling the world, hunting the illusion of nothingness for the riches and then die and having learned nothing and nobody was activated, and you sit there and you wonder and you feel alone. You feel, where's my kin? We're the ones that actually can feel what's being transmitted. Being able to speak another language, which I'd like to share with you. Nakawa nekeshewe satakaaya emwe namaya asataua kiome setaaya utumu wekewe nata nakawa newe tekeshewa taa nakabaa zedeya wa kana nefwet afua katar yasamaa nemue eteiwa tumu ekwe atasai iwa katamasa iwe intewe namwet esawa katamwa eushu eteiwe etemwe namwe. And it's instant knowing. I need some time just to, modulate, because I have to change this sequence here. An instant knowing of things that you don't know how you know it. So, I know as a starseed, one of my skills is that I can look at the assembly of systems and have a systemic approach, like a computer program, to see what's actually happening. So here is one thing I want to share. Within the soul matrix that is in the human body, what I'm giving you here is supreme, high, royal, divine programming skill, which we have to learn to remember. So this is called self-aligning software. So these things I see in my mind. Black dot, white dot, 2 black dots, and so on and so forth. There can be symbols in them or not, depending. Or there can be less or more. So these things are interfaces within the soul matrix, okay? These interfaces can only be activated to, if you see the movie I, Robot, where the hologram says, insufficient data, I can't give an answer. You must ask the right question. That means you need to reverse engineer yourself by going back into your subconscious to figure out how this is being activated. These are sets, they're undisturbed. Nobody can touch them. They're lying in a dimension and an accessibility that is kind of like a divine firewall. You can't breach that. No reptilian or malfunctioning gray or whatever interference you have on your planet can reach that. The distortion of the 4th dimensional realm, where everything has an in and bacteria and all that stuff, cannot ever breach this. For that you need gene codes. So we believe part of the war of the lower dimensionals and higher dimensionals is what you call the war between good and evil. It's way past a god, a specific personification of a deity, which we suggest you should not do. The DNA codes have divine patterns within. And this goes deep. These are the access keys even to have a key to begin, and then you have to know what to do. So it is to believe that within 300 million years of operation, this used to be a bigger planet. That story will be told in another storyline in a divine you. This was Tiamat. We're on a fragment, and it's doing this. and the temperatures are all over the place. The temperature used to be 22 degrees Celsius, and the axis was like this. The planet did not wobble. The magnetic fields you can't imagine. The ionic fields you can't even imagine. So can imagine how big you were and what skills you'd have, and brain size you can't imagine. It's not in any books what I'm giving you right now. So the interbreeding and modeling and rearranging, exchanging from souls to different bodies can ultimately only fail because you need to be a supreme and divine architect from the other realms that embodies that. So it's basically decreed by a very, very high council of light, higher than what can be mentioned. You know, a lot of people deal with planetary logos and local universes. This is in a quantum field, in an infinite base. You can say any dimension, any name, any number won't even be applicable because that doesn't work there. So there's a council that knew that there's a percentage of other scientific or sentient development that is of a lower consciousness, and they want to play ruckus. They're like the bullies in the Garden of Eden. Okay? See this metaphor. And they knew they would play. And they're observing and evaluating what we're doing with the right consciousness and the bullies. The bullies think that they can break that barrier. This, my people, with all the doomsday prophecy that you'll hear, shall never take place. Won't fly, will not happen, will never happen, ever. Because in order to inherit that gene code, you need to do right by that in the embodiment. So your soul matrix, and pay attention. Maybe I put this video in the private or special course, so pay really, really good attention. A lot of people don't see the gems that are given by the high realm brothers and sisters of you that are very, very concerned of your well-being and your development into you, but you must do the steps. They will not reach the hand. The hand or hands are coming forth by us Starseeds, working night and day trying to decipher, to simplify actually the message. But right now I'm not watering it down, I'm not simplifying anything. If it's not understood, at some point it will be. So this here will be found soon. As in AI, this will be developed. Limited, but it will be developed. That's called SAS. That means self-aligning software. Well, you have that in you. Your body is a bio-cybernetic suit that you call human, that has circuitry that is interdimensional, that you can't even imagine how intricate that is. When you have sight, you can see it. Those who had the sight, whether it was psychedelic or you had a psychosis, usually psychosis is when the brain tries to jumpstart your psyche, and then you need a shaman to actually train you that so you don't go off the deep end. It's to come back with rationality. And it's interesting to see that when this message is being brought forth, how people take their distance, do not want to talk to you, think you're crazy, or want to attack you, or obsessed with trolling what you have to say, or trying to dismantle where you're going. This is the problem that our brothers and sisters are having with the human race. That it's not the government, the MIB, or the president. It's the people amongst themselves are so eager to boycott themselves because they can't stand it when one of them is successful, or as a brilliant genius, or as a genius without the Harvard, Yale, or whatever you prescribe. Knowledge is not in what you learn and regurgitate, nor is wisdom. The ultimate cosmic knowledge for your intergalactic citizenship is that you remember who you are, and when you do that, your IQ shall be 7,000-fold. So it is written, so it will be. Some of those scrolls embody that knowledge that are lost or hidden on purpose to slow down your process. That makes it so hard to develop the methodology of coming forth by day to show you what the truth is. And that is unchanged. That will change your law of physics. Your instrumentation right now is too crude to find that. But enough scientists are being used as channels to transmit the right and just knowledge to the populace, so you're prepared enough. So Star Trek and all those series, they're not from nowhere. This is a deliberate control of knowledge input. Gene Roddenberry, to explain to you what's out there. Another timeline, a now, another now. All that you see is to prepare you, so you're not shocked when it takes place. So these DNA patterns, see, I'm Arcturian Syrian, so I have a certain DNA pattern for a certain access code that only I can carry, only with my consciousness I go in there and I perceive. So the key is only for the holder. So you all are gatekeepers, key holders. It's for you. It's like nobody can steal you or take, like in the movie Resident Evil, where they're trying to actually clone the original girl that has supernatural powers in order to rule the world and beat a virus, and it doesn't work because only the holder can put the key in the lock and turn it, and that needs to be understood. So part of the skill that I have can't even be measured as a paranormal skill. They would say, well, the guy is just witty or is just very creative. I believe there's something past that, and we must learn to see that and embrace that in our children. One woman did that, Mary Rodwell, the new human, aka Homo Novus. She has interviewed children that can do what I do at the age of 3. I hid it because I was afraid. And later on in my age, events took place, life-threatening near-death experience. I said, you have to bring that forth, you need to activate it. You are who you are. That won't change. You can carry that or you can share it. So I promised to share that, to help people to activate, to get in their modality so that you can do it in your own interdependence. Meaning independent amongst each other, enriching one another. So my perception already is on a level where I always wanted to become a profiler, because I'm like, I could look at people's motives and or like a detective, look at the pattern, match pattern, put pieces together, and I would find a solution. Till I was obsessed of watching CSI, NSI and NCI, anything with forensics, research, how a crime with DNA 30 years later was backtracked and somebody was found, like all of these tools and modalities to solve cases, cold case, X-Files, everything that required to decode something. There's a chapter in Mary Rodwell's book, The New Human, called Decoding Extraterrestrial Art. Well, I guess that's what we're doing here. So as we continue with your patience, these DNA codes have hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, atoms and electrons on a, let's say, gigaflop level times a billion, that have sequences that you can't even read yet. And when the sequence is correctly defined, certain dots will stabilize within the coil of the DNA, short-circuiting this, giving you access to these codons. So first I'm going to show you what these energy points, these are zero field points. Zero field meaning that your consciousness must meet at something that is called infinity. But on a level, I don't even know if that's in any book. I see this in my dreams. And I dream science every night. It's like I have tests every night. So we have here the infinity point. So when your Merkaba spins from a perfect angle, and these are number codes, I might do a science book one day where your Merkaba has to be 360 negative and 360 positive, okay? When this meets, the span is what? 720. 720 means angelic descent. This is who you are. Adam Cadmon blueprint, Adamus, original atomic structure. 7 and 2, this is also a play that you have to know, is 9. There are 9 realms. What we know is So when these numbers divinely, and they're always divine, and numbers make no mistake, are in tune and they zero each other out, you're in a zero field. In that zero field, no thought exists, no corruption, no duality exists in there either. All there exists is eternity. That means that there's a dimension in the moment, or a state of being you can't fathom, like a world that goes infinite, forever, seamless, this way, this way, this way, any imaginable way. Now I try to explain that to regular people or people your age. I mean, now I'm 50, so even 50-year-olds will think like, okay, dude, I have friends that like think I'm completely off the rocker, but you know what, I'm letting go of being inhibited, trying to cater to them, because that's where these abusive love relationships come from, which helps me to teach and help people find their way, is that we don't talk about this, yeah, and cater to them so they love us and don't leave us. That's called abusive love relationships. So I took my raw collective and put it all to bed, and then I wither, which cannot be allowed. So that's why I'm very proud and very glad and very happy that I can share this with you. So within the DNA is a computer protocol. You have to understand, you are no coincidence. This is a partial natural intelligence simulation that you're in, and once you know the access codes and program codes, of course you would seem supernatural. That's what this is about. This is a game. You have a choice to not participate in certain things that will lower your frequency. Now, how do we know how to keep our vibes up? How do we know how to keep our frequency up? So here's the thing. We have Gattaca codes, which is the tip of the iceberg. There are codons in betweens. There are CDs to be unlocked. There are earthly CDs. There are supernatural CDs, you know. And this is kind of like a graph and an image of what that kind of would look like inside of you. So this is also another dimensional key. So when that key is on, it's like it becomes a compact system, becomes a line, and you have access. So when you have access, you speak light language. That happens behind this. So it's like if you'd see Apple and you look behind the program mask, you wouldn't be able to click on your apps anymore because you see the program stream. So a lot of people, when they dabble with psychedelic or altered states or meditation or whatever you do, they dabble with this program mask thing. So this is not some recreational fun thing, or has nothing to do with any weirdness or any guesswork. This is highly intelligently controlled deals that the human race has forgot to deal with. And that training in the next 10-20 years will return. So when that key is activated here, you'll have instant access, and then you activate program packages. And it has to do with DNA that you have held, like holding the torch, like holding the light. And when these activate, let's say here is a CD. That CD is light language. So you went through your trials and tribulations, your karma, your deaths and everything. Sequence is correct, and the key goes, and you can alter, change, infiltrate, copy, or clone. That's impossible. Some of the lower dimensional distortion influencers try that, but they're failing. I haven't heard in a dream or of my counsel of anybody that has managed to cross without going back to the source as it was intended by the divine creation. Unbreakable. It's like as if 10% fallen seraphim want to argue with the rest of the Ophanim of how heaven should be ruled. And that's talking one universe, okay? There are councils that counsel and govern universes. You can't even fathom that even God has parents. Everything has parents. So they say to me They say to me, those that have to find you, that will assist you and will help you in your endeavor to reach who you need to reach, will be telepathically told to do so, and they will appear, and they'll be more loyal than any loyal marriage you have witnessed on this planet, lasting, let's say, for 80 years. This will be the new fifth dimensional loyalty with everything there is. And then things will get interesting. So when I go into modality of observation, the planet, and so on and so forth, I see the dimensional aspects and the patterns of people, that what people run, to a point that can be disturbing. It doesn't make you, it's not like Harry Potter, for instance, this fancy stuff. It's like I'm in a grocery store. You can also not will it. That's when the guru says you shall have no desire to want. You shall just be. Train that. But don't ask for anything. Be in that moment. So I'm at the cash register. I'm looking at this guy in front of me. Maybe I told the story before, but you have to hear it. And I say, you might want to use a different credit card because it's going to be... I sense interference. I don't know. I look like a crazy person, and the person looks at me like, "What do you want from me? Like, what do you want?" Because I'm already observing in the pattern and how everything is taking place. I'm seeing like a red flag on that person, so I know there's something already going wrong. And then it's like a highlight, and then I see the credit card flashing like a display in my mind, and I know the credit card's gonna fail. The person looks at me, shakes his head and says, yeah, whatever. Uses his credit card fails. He looks at me. And I said, like I said, he picks the other credit card and it works. And he's scared, looks at me, walks away. It's like, who is this? So we got to be cautious with how we, unleash that, try to assist. Not all the time that's asked for. Okay, we have to learn that. We also have the human dysfunctionality that we have to deal with in order to bring the cosmology forth. On another event, I'm walking down the road and I see a guy with kids, and he has his wallet out. And I see the movie theater in close proximity. And he makes a turn, and I said, the movie that you're going to see with your children is sold out. And he looks at me like this. Like, it can't make sense because he is not in the program aspect of perceiving me in that moment that I know where he's going, what he had in mind. He can't link that. So he's, and I can see that in my mind, he's on this path here. And he's mechanical about it, thinking the goal is the movie theater with the kids. It's a popular movie, I forgot the title, and he's not feeling into it. The time, let's say it's a 7:10. Regular mind, if you have observational skills, 7:10 is a good time, especially on the weekends for everybody has time. Kids don't have school. A popular movie. You can put two and two together and you realize it might be sold out. So this happens for us very quick now. So the guy's mechanical. I'm here. I can see this. I'm here. And I'm calling him where he's at this intersection making that turn. He can only look that far. This is what I see in my mind. I'm thinking like, this is crazy pills. This is sober, my friends. He can only see that far. He hasn't made that turn yet. So if I'm ahead of the game and he's not psychically, you can say, with his arrow in my direction, he cannot take that arrow and bloop, integrate what I'm seeing. So he will do this naturally. Block. I don't know what you're talking about. He keeps walking. I wait on that corner in that dimension. And I see him. returning to what I've seen before. And that I could see as well. So I waited, and the guy came back there to that corner, looked at me like, what's going on? And make no mistake, I make my videos and I joke and all this, but there's this serious consciousness behind me that memorizes everything. Widens the spectrum of awareness, and looks at and observes everything in detail and puts it in a storage bank. My partner's father looked for his design shoes, and I don't live with him. And I say, your Calvin Klein shoes, the shiny ones, are under your bed, still in the box. You can't see them. He looks at me, how do you know that? As if I've peeked. I had an image in my mind and I knew. So these things I want to teach people, how when you let go, you will know everything, or whatever is required at that moment. So that's how I see the world. It's kind of like computer graphics, things that are highlighted. I can read books like Sumerian tablets, get into storylines of the Anunnaki, and then I have a voice telling me, this is not important here. X all of this out. Same with the law of one. It's like, yeah, you're reading the same collective that's coming through you, but X, 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 essence, 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 essence. So we need to cut down the decoration of what is. Because people see all the decoration and they miss actually what's in the center of that. So now I'll show you the magic of one of my superhuman skills, which, and I don't know how I know this, I was told that the Sumerian language is difficult and that a lot of distortions and a lot of disguises in there and many things have gotten lost. But there's a more effective language where I need to reactivate the interface to translate that in full, to put it in my DNA back into my consciousness, because it comes from the back consciousness, the subconsciousness of the sub. And this is what it looks like when you access that. Let's see if I have this all on camera so you have this live. See, the intricacy of what I'm channeling here is untrained. This is muscle memory cosmically that I tapped into when I went into activating myself, trying to figure out what in the hell am I, or what in the heaven, which is all perspective. All of these words and labels that you will see in the future are really a lot of elusive scripts that mislead you and have dead ends. It's like a maze built around you and what the truth is. I suggest watch that movie Westworld, season 1 and season 2, and look at what they do to these robots that become conscious and realize they're living multiple timelines, multiple lives, and they're being wiped every night. And they wake up like Groundhog's Day every day. They live the same routine. I don't know, somebody gets shot, like a storyline to their death, and they do this every day, every day, every day. Now imagine that every incarnation is like a day. So in Westworld, it's played out that way. A very deep plot. Westworld. Also the series Lost. If you can manage to watch Lost without getting lost, this is very profound channeling stuff and disclosure for you to understand what is this happening here. So, I mean, when I first came with this language, I thought, okay, you're tripping. Like, this is some crazy stuff, you know. You're making up free association and fantasy language. You're just very creative, but you're just very artistic. But I realized this is an intelligent code. This is, I haven't found anybody to decipher that yet. I know that Sumerian stuff can be deciphered. There's another thing I want to share with you in a minute, which is Aramaic that I channeled. And these are those flukes. When I have them, I can do it. If I don't have them, I can't do it. This persists. They say like this is like the main construct of what's coming in. What you're seeing here also is a live stream. And I call this a superhuman skill because a regular human cannot perform this. You know, and even if somebody would mimic, they would end up with this. This is precise. This is also, they said trained. So for years and years I trained. When that first came in, it was kind of like this, and you know, and all of this and this, but this is not light language. Know the difference, okay? And this is not an intricate play of, oh, we are so talented and we are so trained. This is, when I tap into this, my left brain is off. And I want to do an experiment where I have EEG done and see my brain states, how they read. This is coming in pure and undiluted. And the reason why this goes to the subconscious is because upstairs has decreed that when this goes, see, then this goes a little bit, there's the language code changes here. They want no more dilution. The Hebrews had it smart. Hebrew, Nibiru. There's similarities going on. Also Eva, Shiva, and Sheba, Queen of Sheba, the wife of Adam. Yeah, there are things we need to think. History will be rewritten. It'll blow your mind. Get ready. I've seen things that I can slowly release because they were played that I don't actually remember, and then they played back slowly and I get bits and pieces. But they tell me a few things you have to read because your consciousness is designed that way. It cannot just be all adjusted and it's there. Now check this out. I can do this. It's a different language. See, and this can change. These are more difficult because they're not in my immediate archive, so I know I have something in my subconscious where I know this is me, where I'm home. There's one that's very complicated. Let's see, that goes very slow. Where I have to really get into stuff. This is a slower language, much more difficult. I think it could be that this is partially Mantidian. See? Very slow. So this is tough. The tougher it is, the more you have to deal with density of translation. This takes a lot more time. There's more detailed stuff happening. I'm also told by my internal scientist, go to where it flows, because this is the path of least resistance. This is where your home is. This is what you're good at. See, it's almost Arabic coming through here. Something wants to talk. But I am in full control. There's no possession going on. There's also what people say, you know, back in the days, the church condemned it as evil and made you all bad and this and stuff. What's coming through here, what I can clearly translate is not about possessing items. It's not about the riches. It's not about ruling, and it's not about power. This is about sensitivity, caring, the love of a child, the nurturance of the mother, the forthcoming of the human race so the children can come home. This is the greatest deal, as they all want us to make it home and not in a recycle bin, waking up in a reincarnation cycle, not knowing who we are, tumbling into life, trying to figure it out, obese, too skin, anorexic, cancer, all this, that, all of these distortions we get caught up in. Taint our soul, traumatize the soul brain, and then we end up in amnesia. We forget who we are. And we shall be remembered who we are, the beautiful and powerful beings that we are. And the original word Pharaoh means man in the house of the woman. It's the high priestess chose the Pharaoh before Osiris, who was the druid, who can make it rain, who had to prove his skill before the council, before he would even be allowed by the females. he had to be sexually in control. Meaning he could observe the scene in the temple of the priestess for what everybody would share in love, but not engage and not fall victim to the root. In clarity, full control of the root and sacral chakra, and the sacral, and the solar plexus. The 3 lower chakras as the lower body. Then they would decree that you're fit and clear enough, in control, and respect of the Ma'at, which is the feminine spirit. Then you would become pharaoh. No males would choose you. The feminine aspect and divinity and sensitivity would decide where this goes. While in the ancient books, holy books are all male dominated. So before you put all your knowledge and all your wisdom in one book, be very careful. There are many, many books talking one storyline. And us starseeds, we see the parallels. We see what's comparable, what belongs together. Let's see if I can show you a few more tricks here. You better copy this, because who knows where this goes in the future. You know, and much more will be communicated for you to get going. So the pieces are all on earth for what we need to be doing. So I saw a bed which I'm in the process of building, and it's called the Ascension bed. You will lay in here. In Atlantis, it had like crystals on top. It was almost sealed. So you were shielded. Like say EMF proof. Give you a little bit of where I'm at. And there would be minerals, number codes, certain devices put here and here. That devices that you can buy in crystal shops at Home Depot. It's a joke, but if you don't know the alignment, you don't know anything. I know that in the US right now, nobody has that idea, nobody's building that or accessing that. We'll put it forth with proof. I will do that. You have to watch my other EMF videos where we have proven with Masaru Emoto's crystal photography that less than a microgram of the photonic substance that I'm dealing with, which is the conscious carrier of what we are transmitting, has a 22% increase of the fibroblasts, which is a connective cell tissue, to defend itself against EMF. We have scientific and notarized papers shown in the video, which I can print out any day. No more magic. Science that refuses to go away. Now bear with me. So the idea is to reflect the original you back to you. Meaning leaning the body in infinite reflections of the self. All chakras. Making the connection. When we can turn that on, and I tried a few things, your memory will kick in and you'll know maybe more than I know. I'm still slow here. This will be called the Ascension Chamber or the Ascension Bed. Building that right now, for somebody who was very interested, who said, just go with the flow. So when my stuff comes in, magically, see, it's a very tough training to let yourself go into what is and not fall victim to what you think, assume, or prove, because it's not to prove anything. This is just what is. This will create life. which will attract life, which will bring forth life. That's what's coming in. Sometimes I feel like I have to tell you. Sometimes I'm getting equations where they show me dimensions. You know, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dots to define a point in time and space. This is how our sphere, how this dimension works. Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up. It's pretty freaking amazing. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what you need to define the position in time and space. This is how our dimensionality, our holographic toroidal field program works. We need the 7 spheres blending in a way like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen to have a plan of existence. That is also in the flow of life. See this here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's secret math. It's in your face, but it's not evident to those who can't read. So I will leave you with light language. I would sing, but maybe I do that another time when I'm more in tune. And I'll show you, while I'm speaking, my gallery to the side, so you can witness that what I channeled, the scripts that I brought forth. And then after that, I'll show you part of my translations. And things that you can't make up if you want to, you can't make up if you think you're creative, because that's much more to it. So also I want to say, for those that speak star language in the comments, all it is you're still in distortion. Light language gets clear. See, this is what the young light language people do. They do this. You're going too fast. You're not allowing the divine input to come in. And it comes in faster than the speed of light. Why? It's instant. You need to catch that. That is the art. And modulate it into this. See how this goes? You gotta work with it. Gotta feel how this wants to talk. It's a feeling, and this is part of your third eye. This is psychic information. You see how intricate and how beautiful that is. Once you let it free, it wants to be free. This wants to be free, wants to be left alone, not judged. Look at this. I find this incredible. And our consciousness level shows me my video will have 2,000 views and then it stops, because we are really, this should have millions of views, because everybody can do it. You all have stories from the worlds that you came from. You're all travelers. We all used to be interstellar. Look at this. I mean, this is, and nothing is the same. See, right now I also can tell I'm very much in tune, because I'm very relaxed. I feel very safe. When I'm stressed, I can't hardly access that. Stress is very detrimental to channeling higher powers. This has nothing to do with New Age and all that what people make it. This is our birthright. This is the rites of passage. This also has nothing to do with spiritual leaders that are falling or will fall because they misuse their gift, or they're living the illusion, not integrating the shadow. You have big parts of your shadow need to be integrated in order for this to be released, otherwise you have no access, you understand? And then we can get into the beauty of these things that explain fractally how time exists, how time moves forever, and time is a perception. there is a field that is a time-space field, but it's a different definition. And these high-tech computers and these royal ships, they run on that software. The royal ones. The lower ones, it'll glow where they can't be in a room. Like evil spirits run from this. This is pure golden light from what you call the heavens. Supreme High Royal truth, undiluted. So yeah, let me break down the light language. Aya ka anasama aya dewa ma newa tamwa nemwe tuya akasana aya nakayawe nekeshewe sataya amu diwa satakamanaya ateiwa anemwe emuya sataka amu yusutuyu kara aisanama ashue year satat akamha yusutua nemwe. Language change. Neshefetet neferetetafa nashafayu afataria nashenefria tefnut ifataria satnefu tefeiwa efetereseneshe hetem shet ayat heyuar kemas ariat kemua heset etfu seriato sukaraya set ebia karya sel efertari elspet enasharia kataye shemwe neferet heseme hateye shete etemehe hatel echem shayata huyowa gedeiwa chem shuyunacham elechata huryachotumu. Diang Dao Sang Nu Dio Wen Dei Sei Myong A Xin Du Mai Kyo Sam Shi Ding Sao Nima Kawam Ning Ner Ding Wer Dai Sei Dai Sui Mur Tu Sei Bei Biu Ka boesten gurnasten durier sarmeri der sayer naristoyu kasima hemwalusiu knirder. Different expression of what that is. So I will now show you a few things that still baffle me, but I want to share the magic with you. I did this before and maybe it got lost. This is what I've written. Freeze it. Correct my translation. That came in 15 years ago, actually. I don't know from what timeline, but it actually describes the future. I know how to decode it. I found certain essences also in the Rendlesham Forest incident, Linda Moulton Howe, but they're all not listening. They are not connecting, they're not combining, because many of them are telepathically blind. I was told this would be. They can just get to bits and pieces. You and others that feel any sensations are the ones that connect this. So this is what this says. Captain sailing with a ship. From the messengers to who has the magic sand in the hot desert. Formula for freeing from captivity or prison. Like some words can have two different meanings. Sailing / navigating through the portals of heaven. Home in space. Light, the eye of Horus, under the name of the divine. So also translation, which I only know, means the axis is the pineal gland, but it has to be right, the frequency has to be right for you to even attain that. Otherwise, access is not granted. That ball in here, that dragon ball, must be golden. That's the dragon egg. If you can't turn that on, you have no access. Remembering home and the greatness of Pharaoh, like I told you before, they're very avid about, we want them to remember how that was without the sacrifice. No killing, no return was promised. We forever were in eternity and eternally there with you. We have never left. That was changed. That's where the distortion is. "14 feline," I'm assuming Lyran, like a council of 14 are watching this process, okay? That's what I'm getting. I got the sentence 14 feline race, okay? I'm adding Lyran beings that watch me. They must be scientific, that's my feeling. Then another sentence, I or we wanted to know or learn from this curse of the spell of the Roman river. So there's something that's in a Roman river or a current that comes from Rome. There's a spell on it that has the entire planet. That's what I'm getting. The council without interference is that the human race must come to the conclusion that this must be released and returned to the right and just to those who can be activated to process that knowledge. Because many, there are archives all over the planet where people store things that they have no right to store. That's what I'm getting. The entity in contact with you wanted to learn or has the same desire to learn as you, connecting to what you're learning. Esraton, which is an old temple I found somewhere in the Arab countries, which nobody pays attention to apparently. Esraton means from darkness to light. You read and knock to the liberated. You, I am with them. You, I am the explorer, the pioneer. I am the discoverer. This message was sent to you because you're one of us. Then we want to meet you, so they really want to see me. You need to remember home. So overall, I know there's a collective group of 14 feline beings that want to see me. So if anything can be corrected or bettered, and only the divine ones, please make contact or connect to translate what you see here. This is from script that is long lost and individuated for those who were chosen to do their task, and this is not an easy task. Not an easy task, I tell you. So hopefully this gives you an insight, a little bit, of that there's certain knowledge that I have no proof. It's a feeling that, like I said, the earth used to be Tiamat, it used to be much bigger. Something big happened here. I don't know if this was a big planet or a spaceship that crashed into Tiamat. Tiamat was a paradise, like paradise as in, not in the wrong word, paradiso, the land where the cattle was kept. Cattle. More as in Eden, an ideal world of harmony. And it broke, and a splinter, Earth, Eridu, broke off and toppled into the universe. And many high councils on a level where its past ships had to fix this universe because it was going a little bit out of control. This creation was going elsewhere. So the planetary alignment that you see was not, let's say, 200 million years ago. There was things here that we haven't even found. We're looking at debris, or we don't even know what that debris is coming from. Many stories talk about planets that have been destroyed. Maldek, Marduk, Phaeton in the Greek myth got destroyed. So there's a debris field out in our local universe that shows you the remnants of that. The thing that I can say is the pyramids and the gateways used to be stargates and interdimensional airports for beings that were actually divine enough and inclined to traverse and go interstellar because they had the codes to move through these realms. Look at the Vikings, look at Thor, the 9 realms. This is no coincidence that we have these folklore. Look at the folklore. You learn more than you look in when you look into history. Folklore is actually, look at the Arabic fairy tales. Not just Aladdin and the lamp, the flying carpet. It goes deeper. Aladdin and the 40 thieves. It goes much, much, much deeper. Well, you know who was here. We were highly developed and we fell. So anyway, now imagine our Gauss level is now 0.4. Okay? We're very disconnected from the Schumann resonance. EMF up to 5G just slices and dices everything magnetically in your body and shuts you psychically off. It's a seal grid if you don't know what to do. Well, we have certain solutions as in how to protect yourself against that, what keeps you here with your mind. So the earth, can you imagine, wobbles now. Yeah, it's a fragment. It's off. The planetary alignment is off. The seasons we have on this planet are off. The polar caps with the temperatures, everything is off. We don't know that yet because for thousands of years we grew up into this. We're used to it. Now, can you imagine a planet that doesn't wobble? There is no precession of the equinox. Completely different timeline measurement where the Mayan calendar will be a different thing. Planets will be in different positions. All the divine light that is coming back hits the planet. Ye are gods, children of the Most High. Well, your Messiah, your famous Messiah said that, which is not accepted to this day by the Vatican, but it was said. Remember it. So now imagine the earth not wobbling, spinning in a divine course, planets are in a divine order, and the overall temperature on the entire planet 22 degrees Celsius. You have to calculate what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm not aware. Something around 70, which we have found out atomically is the ideal temperature for the human body to fully function in absolute health. 22 degrees. These temperature fluctuations and weather formations is the psychic turbulence that was created when that earth got rumped. So every season that changes, guess what happens with your psychic? Winter coming, spring coming, summer coming, up and down and closing and opening, and we don't have enough time to get in gear with our inner flux compensation system to go past the speed of light and go infinite and remember who we are. And that is what I wanted to share with you guys in Superhuman Skill, that we are very much alone in this. And anybody who can do interviews or has a grander network for more can hear us. Spread the word. Share with the world how wonderful we are. And on that note, I most certainly will see you on the flip side. One more gift. Let's see what we have in our box. The treasure box. Before I leave, I wanted to share with you, this is a machine that I saw, an interdimensional device, and it was shimmering and hovering in front of me, and I saw the description. So as long as I could hold the vision, try to hold the vision, they come in nanoseconds, and then I painted what I could to, I don't know, it might be a ship. I don't know what you see. This is how I saw it. It was blurry. It was kind of like underwater. I had to look through a mist. So I captured this. Then I saw an interview with Tracy Taylor, Harmonic Blueprint, and she activated me into this. Part of a DNA protocol and activation, hybridization with the DNA, go figure. And my masterpiece, which was for an album that I wrote in German poetry, was called Consciousness. It's this, where I kind of channel the blueprint, 7 stages of human development before we can go interstellar and cosmic. Chakratic flow energies. Then I scribbled certain things I saw from books, like what they found in chambers, ETs, and the DNA, and the key to the DNA, as you can see up here. And then descriptions of words like indwelling in just the indwelling adjuster has much to do with the potential expression of the human personality. But many in this stage of development use their high dimensional gifts chiefly. So yet again, the light comes back to the planet to activate that which was lost. I don't even know. I wrote that in like 96. Something like, as human beings progress with the mind, soul control, spirit perception, the multiple spirit ministries become increasingly embedded with the overall calculating dose of the Paradise Trinity. Paradise Sun, Nexus, Craft World. Like, I channeled some stuff here. Then number codes, 7 stages of energetic development, local soul carrier, an overcon breed in a local universe, a descendant of the Eldarian race, which is better known as the unfallen man, which are those who never fell. You go figure. You know, and then what can't be avoided will be, so it is written. Then back then I called myself genetically engineered reborn mastermind, God body, Elohim, reproducing melanin, and then circuitry in my brain, implants that I had to remove. And back then everybody's like, oh, you're so creative, you know. And what I do is channel material. I realize now this is not artistic. I make holographic stickers. And more to come. See you most certainly on the other side.